Hi, Jamf Nation. It's great to be here at JNUC this year. My name is Chris Chapman. I'm the CTO and SVP of development for MacStadium. I basically manage the development, product, and customer solutions team. I've been a serial tech entrepreneur and enterprise developer for quite a while and really twisting use cases for how to use Mac in the enterprise since about 2004. And with me today, I'm going to introduce you to our head of Orka Workspace, Ravi Kumar, who is a senior product manager with 10 years of experience creating Workspace ONE for VMware, and he's a leading product creator in virtualization and virtualized app delivery marketplaces. And we're really, really excited about what he's bringing to MacStadium and really more largely to Mac and the enterprise ecosystem with our Workspace product. Today, I want to talk to you about an interesting problem that we all face as Mac admins and what we're solving in the world. So we're going to go over kind of the big picture of what our world looks like today and some of the platforms and services that help us address those needs. Obviously, based on the name of this conference, you know several of them, but we'd like to introduce you to a couple of new ones. And one of those is the Orka Workspace solution. We'll give you a technical overview of this, some architecture and key features, and then we'll get into the weeds a little bit and dive into like how to use this, show you what it's about, and then point you to some resources. So let's take a step back and look at the larger issue. As we all know, as I present to you virtually here, the world's definitely changed a lot in the past couple of years, and hybrid work's now the emerging standard. Obviously because of COVID, but also because of supply chain and because of a true shift in the technology platforms that allow us to work effectively from anywhere. This clearly involves things like Jamf for managed services and endpoint and security. It involves new types of distributed networking and involves other kinds of tools and solutions that make these sort of things possible. But quite frankly, those combinations of things are becoming table stakes for this new world. Again, luckily, there's a huge bright spot in working this way because there are MDM tools like Jamf that give you a lot of control over systems. They make remote management and remote tooling way better. As everybody in Jamf Nation knows, Mac can be an interesting animal to deal with, and it's not always a remote-friendly platform from an access and control perspective. They present a challenge from technicality to changes in the Apple ecosystem. And as it shifts from Intel to ARM, seems like there's a new curveball every day, but I think everybody's doing a great job of keeping up from an endpoint management perspective. That said, we are MacStadium, and one of the things that we focused on pre-pandemic and through now is building Apple as a first-class citizen in the cloud. We believe that just like there are clouds for every other thing in the world, there is no reason not to have an Apple cloud. We've been very popular with application developers and CI tooling systems for years and years and years, but also generalized Apple workloads and things that people would love to do in the cloud with a Mac. That's where our sweet spot is. We really want to make life easier for developers and business users alike. And we back this all with enterprise grade data center class engineering that goes around it. And we're providing not abstracted Mac solutions, but true Mac solutions on Apple hardware, Mac on Mac. And kind of want to walk you through our pyramid for what we do here. As a provider, MacStadium has historically built a dedicated private cloud. We do stay in line with Apple and how Apple wants to do things the right way. So it is a cloud service, but it is also dedicated and private in alignment with Apple's EULA. And this creates a true Apple hardware-based infrastructure as a service platform. As we evolved, we addressed that developer market and tried to integrate tooling and cloud automation and orchestration in the form of our Orka platform. Orka effectively makes dynamic environments possible on Mac hardware in a cloud. And this is our core platform that helps MacStadium turn from just a co-located or private infrastructure provider to a true cloud experience with Kubernetes integration and other tooling with CI platforms. But today, we're adding another layer to that addresses this workspace need, this remote environment need. And Ravi's going to talk a lot more about it because we're bringing an enterprise-grade desktop as a service platform on top of Orka that provides true virtual Mac desktop environments on dedicated Apple hardware to make them fully compliant and functional to the end users to meet all of these distributed user and global distribution and global work needs. And with that, let me touch on real quick what Orka is and why it exists. It was, again, the platform for virtualization and orchestration that we built on Mac. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's a containerized solution. And that said, it basically wraps Mac OS in containers that we can move across Apple hardware with Kubernetes. What this does is afford us a new level of flexibility and capability on Apple as a platform. And again, to the mission of MacStadium, it helps us deliver a business class cloud for Apple hardware. With that, I am really pleased and proud to introduce Ravi Kumar. He's an industry leader when it comes to virtual workspaces and desktops, and he's going to take it over from here and explain to you everything about Orka Workspace and what it means.
Thank you, Chris, for that introduction. And as Chris mentioned, in the past few years, the pandemic, supply chain issues, and the remote workforce are changing the economics and agility in multiple markets. As the enterprises move towards cloud computing and virtualization, they are discovering greater agility, efficiency, and cost savings. However, provisioning desktops to remote users, security, and compliance are still key concerns for our customers in this journey. The Orka Workspace extends the power of the Orka platform, and it allows you to deliver Mac-based virtual desktops. The Orka Workspace delivers secure access to your browser from anywhere, anytime. As you can see in this picture here, we support genuine Apple hardware. There are 2 virtual machines per host, and from any browser, it could be a Microsoft Edge, it could be a Safari, or a Google Chrome or Firefox. You could connect to your virtual desktop that's hosted on a virtual CPU. Let me start with some of the key concerns we have been hearing from our customers. First, when we talk to the end user computing teams, we hear a lot about the delays in provisioning desktops, especially to remote workers. It takes about 8 to 12 weeks to actually deliver the hardware, provision the right networking and security policies. Next, most of our customers have been talking about stolen or lost laptops or MacBooks, especially when you ship it overseas. Next, when we talk to the security teams, they are concerned about managing security policies across multiple devices. They have to deal with bring your own PCs, MacBooks, notebooks, and even iPhones. And studies have shown actually that the number of attacks or threats have increased in the last few years since the pandemic. And it's also that the IT spend on security software has only increased. And finally, when we talk to the compliance teams, what we have found is data compliance and GDPR is a huge issue. The compliance teams are concerned that remote workers may compromise sensitive data. And stolen data is basically a huge issue when it comes to compliance. And it could cost not only millions of dollars, but it also could affect the reputation of the company. So in a recent Gartner report, and this is also being echoed by multiple other analysts, that with the increase in remote workforce, more and more organizations are moving towards desktop as a service. Now, the Orka Workspace actually addresses a number of these concerns that we heard about. Let me talk about our value proposition. First, provisioning and managing desktops is very, very simple with our solution. From any browser, you can connect to your desktop that's provisioned within a secure MacStadium data center. Managing multiple devices has been a lot more streamlined. And since it is a virtual desktop, you don't have to worry about recovery of lost or damaged end user devices. Once you connect to our desktops, every time we ensure that the next time you connect to the desktop, you get a fresh image with the latest patches. Next, this actually helps from a security perspective too. Data loss is not an issue anymore. All the communication from the virtual desktop to your browser is encrypted using AES 256. Next, since we refresh the OS every time you log in to your desktop, you can be assured that you're getting the latest updates on the OS side. And we also are not affected much at all by compromised PCs or BIO devices from where you're connecting to the desktop. And finally, compliance is a lot more simpler because now it's a virtual desktop. We ensure that you cannot copy or paste any data. We ensure that you cannot redirect your data to a local USB drive or you could print it out or to a printer. So ensuring, enabling, and meeting your GDPR, HIPAA, PCI compliance requirements is a lot more easy with the solution. So in summary, we simply make it a simple solution to provision. We make it more secure, and we enhance compliance. So with the Orka Workspace, we have a very powerful value proposition. Now, when the Orka Workspace with Jamf MDM makes the solution even more stronger. If you look at the traditional solutions for managing your end user computing with physical devices, it's a very expensive solution. You have to deal not only with provisioning challenges, but also with stolen devices, acquisition cost, etc. Our solution with Jamf MDM is a lot more cost effective. You can access your desktop from anywhere, from any browser. You can provision apps from the app catalog. Now, based on the user identity, he has access to a set of apps. Next, we provide a solution that's a lot more simpler than the traditional solution. We have streamlined application and desktop management. Next, from a security perspective, we have a solution which will keep malware and breaches away from you and your organization. And we also have a number of features to audit, not only the desktops, user licenses, etc., but you can also have a lot of information about the other devices with Jamf MDM. And finally, we make the solution adaptive. So based on the user context and based on where he's accessing it, from when he's accessing, he has access to different set of applications. And with the Orka Workspace solution, you can increase capacity or decrease capacity based on the user needs. And this can be done dynamically in the data center. So a solution of Orka Workspace with Jamf MDM is a lot more powerful. And the deployments of the combined solution is a lot more simple, more cost-effective, and adaptive. Now let me go ahead and talk a little bit about the system overview. So you can log into your desktop from any browser, any HTML5 compliant browser. Once you sign in, then you are redirected to a single sign-on provider that you're authenticated, a token is provided, and once a token is provided, you reach our front end, which is hosted in AWS. Once you get to our content distribution network, from there, we go ahead and redirect the connection to our data center, where we provision your desktop on a genuine Apple hardware. And once the desktop has been provisioned for you, it's a virtual machine. The virtual machine connects back to your browser using an AES 256 encrypted connection. So the data is all secure between the desktop and the browser. And then once you click on the desktop itself, you have access to your desktop. It's a very simple solution, and it's very easy to access. Now, next, let me talk about some of the features of the product. First, we accelerate provisioning and automate management. When the user logs in to the system, you have access to a screen that gives you information about, if you're an administrator, number of licenses that are available for you, number of desktops that are available, and the usage of the desktops and the licenses in the last few weeks. Next, provisioning users is much more simpler. Also at the same time, let me talk about provisioning the PCs or the desktops themselves. We have multiple images that you can use. You could use a small image or a large image. Once you configure your desktop itself, then you can go ahead and configure the users. You can invite individual users to go ahead and use their desktops. So it's a very powerful and simple user interface to manage not only your desktops from a simple template, but you can also manage your users from the same user interface. We also allow you to activate and deactivate accounts from the screen. You can also, from a security perspective, you can disconnect active sessions, and you can also provide you a single sign-on using Google and Microsoft. Some of the benefits of the solution are it lowers cost, enhances productivity, and it simplifies management. Next, from a security perspective, we have a number of features to enhance security. We provide AES 256 encryption for all the data that goes from the desktop to your browser, so there's no question of data loss. Next, we have multiple levels of firewalls to protect the desktop itself. We have a firewall on the front end, and we also have a firewall that protects our data center. Next, we protect against denial of service attacks. So no PC from where you're accessing your desktop could be a threat to the environment. We provide single sign-on and SAML integration. We have non-persistent desktops again. So if the device or host device from where you're accessing the desktop is infected, it will not affect the solution at all. We provide audit and access to history of when you logged into the system. We provide information on the activity history, etc. So some of the benefits of the security features are that it mitigates threats. Now, this is much better than the traditional solution. At the same time, we also lower the cost of any kind of endpoint security breach. We also reduce the risk for the end user. Lastly, and finally, let me talk about compliance features that we have. So many organizations have to deal with HIPAA, SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley, and PCI regulations. Now, we have the data stored in a SOC 2 GDPR compliant data center. Next, we ensure compliance with the Mac OS images. We ensure that the resources are adapted to the desktop usage. So we could, since we are a virtual solution, which is basically abstracted from the physical hardware, we can increase or decrease capacity dynamically. We can control usage of the or control how the user uses the desktop itself. We can prevent cutting and pasting data, etc. And we can also control the applications with Jamf and the policies for the applications. So that's something that we can provide with the combined solution to accelerate compliance. And to we can also report on the purchased licenses and hosts. The benefits of the solution, again, it reduces the risk of data loss, as I already mentioned. And then next is that it enhances your SLA compliance. Now, if you want to increase capacity, we can increase or decrease capacity on the fly. And finally, with the lower cost of meeting your compliance goals. Let me talk a little bit about the use cases of this combined solution. First, the use case which we have heard a lot about is in education. Many universities, as well as K to 12 organizations or schools are interested in using us to basically provide access for virtual classes. You've also found a need for this in banking, where you have virtual desktop makes it easier for them and enables them to meet compliance requirements. And finally, we have talked to many organizations who are remote workers, contract workers, overseas workers, where because of compliance reasons, they would like to use virtual desktops. Now, these solutions could be enhanced once we add Jamf Pro, because you can not only provide virtual desktops, but you can also provide access to applications on the fly, and you can control these applications remotely. With that, let me give you a brief demo of the product itself. First, when you log in from any browser, you should be able to sign in with your username and password. Once you sign in, you will go to the screen, if you're an administrator, to show you the number of licenses that you have and the number of desktops. Next, if you're an administrator, you can configure templates. You can configure a small template or a large template, depending upon the size of desktop that you want. Next, you can configure users, or you can invite users, and you can import users. We also have a number of other powerful controls to launching desktops from the screen. We also give you the ability to administer users directly from here. Once you have administered the desktop, and next you can go ahead, and if you're a user, click on the logo here, and you should be able to log into your desktop. Once you have logged into your desktop, if you're an administrator, if you go back and see, you should be able to see the number of desktops, active desktops, number of desktops that are used. And if you have a Jamf Pro, you should be able to go ahead and see a lot more information about the desktop itself. So an integration of the two solutions would be very powerful for you to manage your local devices, remote devices, and also at the same time make it more secure and compliant. So with that, let me go ahead and invite you to our booth, where it's booth number 1260, where you should be able to go ahead and play with the product, see a demo of the product, and if there are any questions that I've not answered here, we'd be glad to talk to you more about it at our booth. So with that, back to you, Chris.
Well, and I'm just going to say thank you, Jamf Nation. As Ravi went through a lot of information here, we're really excited to get more input and feedback from you all. Definitely ask questions. We're here for answering, and then both virtually, and we're excited also to be live on site. Come see us and tell us what you want to know. We think, again, like you said, the collaboration between desktop management tools and virtualized desktops makes a really potent combination and gives your user base a whole new capability. So thanks again, and have a great conference.
Thank you.